Hi. So it took me 2 days to actually start this recording, and I feel like I had this big channeling, this big download as I was meditating on Monday. Yeah. And everything was so clear and everything was so detailed, so much coming through, and then I had things going on. So I'm like, okay, let me record this video tomorrow, Tuesday. And Tuesday comes and my energy is low. I'm like, no, can't find the words. It's not flowing. So, anyways, I even tried in the afternoon. I was like, okay, let me do it now. And it just wasn't flowing. And today was like almost the same. So, lesson number one, when I channel something, I need to just put on the recorder. Like, I just need to record a video no matter what I look like, no matter if I only have like 20 minutes. Like, I just need to do it. I need to get it out there right away. Second of all, whenever we are increasing in light, whenever we are falling more into our purpose and what we are here for, the more distractions will try to keep us from doing the work. And that also kind of, aligns with what I was channeling as well about the good, the bad, and the neutral in this world. Because it's not just all love and light. It's not, it's the duality. This is a dualistic world. And it's very evident in world events and in people. And that's why, people can, you can, for example, if people hear the word witch, they might react to it like that's a bad person, that's an evil person, right? Instead of seeing the energy of a person. Anything can be used for good or for bad, right? A witch is a healer, which is a helper, which is like an empowered person that's here to help and heal, not the evilness or doing things against other people's will. There are people like that, obviously, because it's like it's the energy you carry as a person, not the title of, a label. The same goes with priests, right? Like if you're a priest, you automatically like, oh, that's a good person, But how many priests in the Vatican have we not heard about? They're doing awful things, right? Or people working with kids, like coaching kids, and they're taking advantage of it. So it just, goes to show that it's the energy of a person, right? Are the intentions good or are the intentions bad? Okay. So let's start with the good. So what came through is like the good of a person, right? The good, it's an energy. It's coming from the heart. It's coming from helping. It's coming from unconditional love. It's a pure energy of caring for others and wanting the best for others. Then the bad has a energy of evil, like bad intentions, purely doing things that are malicious, for usually craving power, money. So it's money, power, greed, all that control, all that stuff, right? So even like a negative, like an energy that is bad, they can pretend to be good for the purpose of their agenda. For example, they pose as a priest, right? Or they pose as a government official or anything else, like we're a leader. But if you look under the surface, you really tune into their energy, you can see how they're like manipulating any like act of good that they're doing has an energy of manipulation under it. They're doing it to look good. They're doing it to gain trust. They're doing it to, get control, whatever it is. So that's why it's so important to use discernment and to really tune in to the energy of people, systems, laws, anything like that, like to really like be in the observer position. And if you don't know what the observer position is, when you kind of detach yourself from the issue, or not being too close or too attached to an issue, more like stepping away and looking at the bigger picture, and just trying to not have your own energies in it, but look at an energy of like, is everything all right here? For example, the Kate Kate Gate. I saw a lot of people like, okay, that video of her speaking about cancer diagnosis, it's AI and everything. And I was looking at those posts, and I'm like, okay, because sometimes like conspiracy theories and stuff, it's like it goes a little bit, like too much over to that side, and they might be very distrusting and only seeing that kind of thing, and like looking too deep into it basically, and not having an objective or observer point of view. So in regards to things like that, I always like to have a look at it myself, to see what I can pick up on, what I can decipher from it, what energy is coming from it. So I played the Kate video. Let me have a sip of coffee. And at the beginning, I'm like, well, I mean, this looks fine, right? But the more, I got a piece of cat hair. The more you look at it, like really look at it from like an observer point of view, you're not being blinded of the surface, the manipulative energy. You're actually looking at the details with an observer view. And then I was looking at the background. Oh, I pinched myself. I was looking at the background, and I'm like, it's not moving at all. Like it just seemed a little bit too chill, I'm like, And then I was looking closely by her hair, and you can see it's like blurry line around her hair. I'm like, what is going on there? Why is it blurry? Like, like how it can be with a green screen. They get blurred around the edges, right? And her voice sounded different. The way she's speaking sounded different. It sounded computerized. So I'm like, okay, something is definitely off here. And then I was looking at videos of her speaking. Normally, you see, like her dimple pops out, and like the light in her and everything. Even if she would be serious, it's just the video of her on the bench is very, no emotions. It just seems very cold, right? And she's a very warm person. And, like the energy I picked up on her before is like she has, or used to have, a very warm energy about her. And why was not Prince William next to her? Like if your wife is speaking about a cancer diagnosis and she's the Princess of Wales, like you would sit next to her, right? Like you would, in a big public announcement like that. So that as well is like very odd, and the saying, because they can't do AI for two people, they can only do one face at once. And her eyes are like, look at the videos, look at some videos that like really like gone through looking at the details of the video and like detected the AI in it and everything. So anyways, with that, that makes me think like, but why? Like, what is going on? Because before I was like, oh, whatever, like maybe she just want to withdraw for a while. But then you're starting to think like they're trying to push out like the AI manipulated image as well for Mother's Day. That was AI. That was not a real picture. So I was like, what is going on then? Like, why are they actually doing this? So you're starting to look at under the surface, like people who portray themselves as good, doing things that are more negative and more malicious and trying to manipulate the public. And then it's like, why? And we went through that with like the past 4 years of the world situation, when more and more people started waking up to like the agendas, and like, why? Like, like, and it all boils down to like money, power, control, greed, those types of energies. So it's very important to take a stance of observation and observe it from like a neutral point, because like with the Kate video, I'm not like attached to the outcome. You know, I'll be fine if it's a real video, I'll be fine if it's an AI, like I don't care. I just have more questions now. So, and that is the healthy questioning. And they want to use all the neutral people to manipulate them to push their agenda. Okay, so then we're going on to neutral people, neutral energy. Neutral people are the ones who have not fully aligned with light. And they're not aligned with dark either, but they are being programmed by the darker side's agenda. And they're pushing that. For example, laws, you know, or like with the whole world situation. Oh, we need to all take these jobs because of, you know, I care about people. Like, no, that wasn't, yeah. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, then, you know, maybe one day you'll wake up to it, maybe not. Like, it's not my issue. But the neutral people, they can be good and bad. You know, they just work in the agenda of usually the systems and blueprints that the negative energy has set up to have control of the people. We're talking about school systems, we're talking about governments, we're talking about golden handcuffs with benefits, which is like super good, but it comes with a price, right? There's other ways to sort out the world, like increase the pay, for example, increase the salaries. I'm not gonna go into all of that because it's not my forte. I'm just saying by experience as well, if you are in the systems, you kind of run by the systems, and you are more or less controlled by the system and the governments and everything. They are imposing laws and rules and restrictions onto you to take away your own autonomy, your own power. My candle is just like burning crazy here right now. Hold on. That's gonna be hot too. Ow. Yeah. How am I gonna... Okay, I'll do it. It's just my candle was done and all the herbs are catching fire. So anyways, is all these rules and restrictions, and then if you choose not to be part of that playbook, then you become an outsider, and then you should be punished. Just look at the Brexit, right? I know Sweden and other countries have discussed leaving the EU multiple times, a lot of times, but they never ever pulled the plug. They never had an election about it. The UK goes ahead and votes, right? And the majority of voting was get out of the EU, right? Because it's not... It's more control. It's more. It doesn't let the countries have their own autonomy, their own independence, right? It's a mafia. It's a mob, point blank. And then what they did was to use the UK as a scapegoat to show as an example. Hey, look what happens if you decide to leave, the EU. Then we are going to make it really difficult for you. And there's a lot of talks about what will happen, a lot of fear put into it, like you will not be able to import groceries anymore, like, or different products from different countries. What would UK be without these different types of food and all that stuff? Now we're seeing it didn't really affect that much. Like, we're still, you can still access all that stuff in there. The prices might have increased a bit and things like that, but there was a lot of fear pushed onto it, like, hey, maybe you should vote no because of XYZ. So they used a lot of fear and propaganda to try to divert people from doing it. But then the ruling was still, we're leaving, right? And yeah, anyways, All right, let me see what else is coming through. I'm just getting to everything. I'm trying to recollect everything that came through, but it's like the main thing is, when you're working from a standpoint of light, when you're like unified with the light and you're working you have good intentions, and it doesn't matter. The ones really, really working with the light and working for like having true good intentions and true intentions, they simply cannot oblige to the systems and structures because it feels like really, really off. It feels off. And then we're doing the most to get out of that society, right? Sometimes like we get punished for it, like we can't, different ways. Is it always like removing yourself from the group will always lead to some type of fallback, or some type of feelings or isolation or whatever it is, because you're not complying with the bigger group. But what to remember is that the people working for the light are having such role of importance in this world, right? And the systems and the regulations and everything put up by the dark, the bad side basically, is falling. And it's not always tearing things down. Sometimes it's having people with light put into those places to reform, like to clean it up, right? For example, school system. I don't think the school system is gonna completely collapse. I do think there are going to be other ways of schooling that's going to be emerging even more and more. And it's going to be even more accepted. And then I think the original schooling, maybe they will start to take notes eventually. I think it's going to be a process, right? So all this, and the banking system, it's so many different structures and systems that need to be reorganized. And I think it's more like getting the right people into those places, and they hold such a huge importance in doing the work. And it's not going to be easy work because they have to stand up for themselves and for the world and for the good, right? And that takes courage and self-control, all these things, to really do the good work. I hope I'm not losing you on it. I'm trying to like sort out all the thoughts and the messages that came through and trying to piece it all together now. And with the neutral, so more and more like mass awakenings, right? Like we're having more people seeing through the illusions, through the mist, through the fog, and not blindly just accepting what is put out there by people in positions of power and structures like media and things. It's more independent researching and things like that. These days with AI, it's like hard to know what to trust and what is true and what is not. And I'm not asking you to be distrusting of the world and being like us against them, that kind of standpoint, because that's not going to do any good. The majority of people are neutral, and we don't need to go against them, right? Because in a way they're innocent, they're being influenced and programmed. And it's more about, and you cannot change them. You cannot change someone until they have that awakening within themselves. So pushing your own thoughts onto people who are not open to hear it will not work. You have to focus on being more in your light and being more good, and that will cause a ripple effect, right? The more and more like people are going to align with it, right? So it's not about being mad at the world or like us against them. It's more focus on you. Like all you can focus on is you, what you're doing, what your purpose is here, the positive changes that you're bringing about. Okay. Another thing that came through about good people, right? Being good doesn't mean that we all love and light, right? To be able to fully work in the light, we need to be able to navigate the dark. Look at angels. Angels are not like these like the Christians portray them to be. angels know how to go to war, basically. Archangel Michael has a sword, right? So they're more like, I see them more like as Valkyries, almost like more like that they're able to do the work and not just be there to bless people and protect people, because sometimes protection is with sword. That goes for people of the light as well. We also have our shadow qualities. We have our sides. Like, I'm an Aries, I have the anger, right? So I'm ruled by the god of war. But it's about how do we use our weapons, because I see my anger is a weapon. And if I would liken it to a sword, it wouldn't be wise for me to go around and swing my sword any point of the day, right? I need to use my weapon wisely. When it's time for war, it's time for war, and then I'll go to the ends of it, right? Period. And maybe your power in your weapon is calculated movement, right? Maybe you're very smart. You can see through systems and how to navigate the most, right? So your shadow sides are not to be suppressed or shamed for or ignored. It's to accept it and integrate it by using it wisely. Like, pick your battles, right? So I hope that makes sense. Let me know. I'm like feeling a bit awkward about this video in general, but then I also know that when I receive a lot of upgrades, a lot of channeling, a lot of downloads, that's what I'm meant to be putting out, because that's where my work is lying as well. And that is what makes different, maybe not for like a whole lot of people, but for the ones who this message is reaching and resonates, at least I will know that it was meant for them, right? I just have to kind of follow orders of like whatever I'm downloading, whatever I'm channeling, it needs to be put out there, because what's the point of not integrating the messages that I receive, right? And I think that's a lot with the lunar eclipse as well for me, and the solar eclipse, is that I need to take a different role in the work that I do, and it's going to be more of this role and spiritual initiations and clearings and things like that. That is what makes a difference in the world for what I came here to do, and not just surface-based things, right? I hope this makes sense. Let me know. Your feedback means a lot to me, and thank you so much for the support on this channel. And I'll see you for another video. All right. Bye.